And welcome, everybody, to Journey into the Light, to the Carla Mesky Show. And here is Carla.
Thank you, Michael. It's good to be here. Can you hear me? I'm on a new set of technology today.
Yes, I can hear you clear.
Great. That's wonderful. I'm at my niece's house, and there's children in the background, so I just want you to know if you hear some screaming, it's the delight of my little grandniece. Today we're going to talk about the shamanic art of soul retrieval. And I want to explain what soul retrieval is and why it's such an important healing technique in shamanism. And I want to invite you to come to my website, SpiritHealer.com, to learn more about it, because I've got a whole section on soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is one of the most fundamental forms of shamanic healing, and it's something that we do for animals, we do for people. It's something that we do to bring ourselves back to wholeness. Imagine, if you will, what it's like when you've had some kind of a traumatic event. Maybe you've had a car crash, or you've had someone die, or you've had some horrible thing happen that basically shook you out of your bones. So that after that, you felt like maybe you weren't quite there. Like part of you was not participating anymore. Maybe you just felt like you were separated from yourself and you didn't have your full energy and your full integrity. In shamanism terms, we call this soul loss. It's when a little piece of our essence and our energy slips away from us. It can't stand being there anymore. It's just too much, so it separates out. And we do this to protect ourselves, to keep ourselves safe and whole in the periods of deep trauma. Now, in a healthy environment, that soul part will come back in. After the trauma is done, the soul part comes back in, and we begin to feel like ourself again. But sometimes that soul part stays away. And then we have this sense of our energy being diminished, that our quality of life is a little bit stepped down, and we call that soul loss. So the shaman's job is to reach out through the ethers, through the spiritual guides that help us and heal us, to find that soul part and bring it back and breathe it deeply into the bones of the person or the animal that's lost that soul, and then help that person or that animal restore their integrity and become full and whole again. Everyone has some level of soul loss. It's just part of the human existence. When I do shamanic healing for people, I often find that a tiny little piece of their soul may not actually have been born with them. The idea of coming from spirit through that whole womb and through the whole birthing thing, maybe I don't want that. Maybe that's too scary. So maybe a little piece of us holds back and stays with our spirit tribe. That kind of soul retrieval is important to bring us solidly into our bones. But more common soul loss that I find is the kind of soul loss that happens when someone has suffered a big bang in their lives. A woman who's been abused by a man, or a man who's been abused by a woman, for that matter. A car wreck, very common. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a parent, the loss of an animal. A big, terrible life event like firing. These kinds of things can shake us out of our bones. And then the shaman has to go find that soul. So let me describe to you how that works and what it looks like for the shaman to go on a soul retrieval session. I am going to actually do one right now. And I'll do one for my darling horse, Yark, who you may remember from our very first radio show. I worked on Yark. Nope, Spirit is saying no, I should work on Fidla. Fidla is my Icelandic mare who was actually bred in Iceland. And she was imported from Iceland when she was 7 years old. And she left her tribe, her Icelandic horse tribe, and got on an airplane and came to North America. Very, very separation, scary. Now, I've done work around this, but she'd be happy to have more work done. So I'll shut my eyes and I'll call the spirits of the north, the east, the south, and the west, and ask them to stand strong with me as I do the work to help bring Fidla's soul back into her integrity and her entirety. I go down into the lower world to meet Grandmother Sunflower, and she shows me the direction to the sacred circle of horses where I work for horses. And my teacher there, his name is Kay, he comes and he puts out a trough, and in the trough is seaweed. This is the food Icelandic horses often get to eat, nutritional supplements from the sea because the sea is prolific. In fact, they actually feed dried fish to Icelandic horses. I know, it sounds weird, but they like it. They like the salt in the wintertime. So he lays out this trough and he says, what we're going to do is bring Fidla here into the presence of this trough, and then I'm going to sing the entire Icelandic herd that she knew when she was in Iceland, and their ancestors before them. I'm going to sing them into this circle, and then we will see if Fidla reunites, how this goes. Let's watch. So we bring Fidla in, and she's shaking her head like she does when she says, no, no, no. And she's shaking her head because she doesn't want to be separated from my herd, Yark and Lyra. And so Yark comes in, escorted by my spirit horse, Kohler, and all of the horses that stand with Kohler, his spirit tribe. And then we bring in Lyra, and she comes in with her tribe. And now Fidla stands regally in the center with them flanking her on either side. And she goes to the trough and she smells it and she says, if I eat this, I'll never come home. It will take me back and I don't wish to leave you. Kay bows to her and says, I understand and I wish to offer you a healing. She gets down on her knees. I've never seen such a thing. She puts her head down on the ground on her right side and looks up at him. And she gets up again, shakes her head and says, I trust you. And then she reaches her head out and she lifts her front lip in that motion that they do called phlegm, I think, when they do that. And Kay begins to sing and call the Icelandic tribe from whom Fidla came, the tribe of her ancestry, the tribe of her family, the tribe of her friends, to come, the tribes of her ancestors, the tribes of her family, the tribes of her friends, to come. And they cross through a river, a strong, sweeping river, and they come to the river bank. And the stallion stands up and he steps aside and the white boss mare comes through and she's got a tiny little palomino baby at her side. And the baby is Fidla's soul, nurtured by the tribe since she's always been with them before her birth and while her time in Iceland, for the tribe in Iceland coexists with spirit. And the baby horse stands at the edge and sees the airplane and shakes her head, I will not go. And then I hear the mares on my side calling out of Yark's tribe and now out of Lyra's tribe, calling the mares, calling the baby. And the white horse mare nuzzles. And the baby won't leave. The white horse looks back at her tribe and says, hang on to me. And she busts through and she comes in to my tribe now, to where we stand on this side of the trough. And she nuzzles Fidla, the mare who stands in my pasture. And the baby horse comes into her through her udder, her soul retrieved through her udder. And the white horse then says, this is Fidla's mother, I would like to know what's going on here. And she goes over to Lyra's tribe and she squeals and plays with them. And then she goes to Yark's tribe, and she gallops out as fast as she can because the stallion there wants to breed her, and she doesn't want to do that. And then she jumps over to the other side, and she calls, and then she asks that the tribes all be united above and below and all around. And at that moment, Fiedla goes and feeds out of the trough of the beautiful, beautiful seafood, sea fruit, the kelps. And Kay says, "It is done. Blessings on you, blessings in you, through you, and around you. Welcome home, baby horse into Fiedla. Welcome home." And he tells me to open my eyes. So that was a soul retrieval for my darling mare Fiedla. And next week I'll tell you how things are for her, if there's any changes that are helpful for her as a result of this. Soul retrieval is fantastic for animals who have been in shelter situations. Rescue dogs often need soul retrieval done for them to bring back their integrity and their strength. Feral kittens can't really establish without their soul being brought in. And one of the things that was demonstrated in this healing for Fiedla is that often it's not just that individual soul parts that need to come back. It's a reconnection to their tribe. And the tribe is so important. The tribe of the spirits that we came from. The tribe of the spirits we'll return to when we cross. Our true tribal family, our love, our home. Very, very important. To reunite a soul living in a body right now with that tribe, it's to give them a sense of continuity, and a sense of completeness, a sense of wholeness. People report after having a soul retrieval that their entire life changes. Their joy comes back. Their song comes back. Maybe they'd forgotten what it was like to love to play, and that will come back. Where whatever that person had before the big event, that can return with the soul retrieval. And you know, each of us has soul loss of some part. So soul retrieval is good for everybody. And even though you may not feel like you've had a disastrous kind of a shock out of your system, some piece of you should be brought back. This is true for everyone. But for those who are chronic, sick, depressed, worried, concerned, soul retrieval is an essential part of the medicine, an essential part of the medicine. And so I recommend soul retrieval to everyone. I recommend you seek out a shamanic practitioner where you live or over the internet, someone reliable, someone well-trained, someone authentic, and have soul retrieval done. I think you'll be quite amazed at how effective it is. And if you have an animal that feels distant, that maybe needs to be brought back into their completeness, as you can see, soul retrieval can be very powerful. All right, Michael, do we have any callers who might want to have a little conversation with their animal, perhaps?
Yes, let's go to Bonnie in Virginia.
Hi, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, Bonnie. How are you? It's good to hear from you again.
Yes, I've been battling some illness myself, so I haven't been able to be on recently, so I'm glad I could come back. I actually have two questions for you. One, since you're talking about soul retrieval for someone with illness, I have quite a few health issues myself. And would that help me? That's the first question. And the second question is, I've lost so many pets. At this point in my life, I have no pets at all, which is really not good for me. I don't feel like a whole person unless I have a cat or a dog or something, you know?
Right.
I'm particularly fond of cats, and last year I lost both the cat and my housemate Boxer. But is there a way to connect also with the creatures that have passed over, and can you tell if there are any of them around me still?
Well, certainly I can connect with animals who have crossed over. Totally, absolutely. But I'd like to come back to what you said first. You said you've been having illness. I didn't quite catch it, so I'd like you to repeat it, please.
Yes. Yes, actually, I'm just getting over pneumonia, but I have multiple health issues that I've had for several years now. And in fact, my health continues to decline despite what treatments I have. And I'm really actually surprised I'm still breathing, but I am. So is there some part of me that's missing, or is there some blockage that needs to be opened? What do you think about that?
Well, I would like, if with your permission, of course, and we don't have a lot of time, so it would be very short, but I would like, with your permission, to reach through to the compassionate spirits I work with and see if there is a piece of you that they would like to bring back to help you be healthy and whole, and so your energetic body is stronger again. Would you like that?
Yes, that would be great. I appreciate that.
Okay, I call the spirits of the north, the east, the south, and the west for Bonnie. I ask you to come, please, and take me now into the lower world where my grandmother Sunflower's sacred circle lives, and to bring Bonnie in. And she comes, and I see you surrounded by your cats and dogs. One cat in particular comes strong into picture and then fades back. It looks like a gray tabby and fades back, and what's left there is a void. And so I'm being shown that this is where we need to go to do soul retrieval for you. And I follow my power animal who helps me with soul retrieval go through that opening that this cat brought, and I come into a room where you're sitting and you're shaking your head and you're putting your foot down, and you're like putting this is a line in the sand. And there's something, it's not just your animals, something happened in your life where you're fed up. And I am not going to look at what the event is, because we're broadcasting this out to the world, and it's your private business, and I don't need to know what the event is in order to do the work. So I ask the spirits, please do not reveal private business to me, and they agree to that. And my teacher goes to you, and he shapeshifts into a man. He can go back and forth between this power animal and a man. And then he shapeshifts back into a man, and he offers you his hands in a very soft way. And inside his hands is a gift. It looks like a little tiny animal. And you touch it. It's a kitten with its eyes not open yet. And something in you is angry, really, really, really angry, like this kitten shouldn't have gone. And I see my teacher now turns, and a guide comes in who loves you very much, and she's got your hand. It's your hand as a small girl. She's carrying you back as a small girl. And the part of you sitting there looking at the hands of my teacher, at the kitten, looks at the small girl, and you open, and the small girl comes back in through your right hand into your left hand, and you fold her into your heart. I'm back in the sacred circle with Grandmother Sunflower, this soul part of yours. She was 6 years old. She comes back in. The event that happened recently reaffirmed to that soul part that she shouldn't have ever come in. It reminded you of an event as a child, and that soul part as a child, who was always tangential, said, screw it, and slipped off, but now she's coming back. And I ask your teachers, your power animals, your spirit helpers to come and give you the strength and the power and the affirmation to embrace your life force, to bring your own life force back into your bones. Take a deep breath, Bonnie. Breathe your soul into you. There you go. Take it home.
Okay.
Spirits of the sky, spirits of earth, Grandmother Sunflower, Grandmother Wind, Grandmother Moon, bless Bonnie and bring her soul home to her. Bring her home. Welcome home, Bonnie. Welcome
Thank
home.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You may have memories come back to you. I always ask that the soul parts bring back positive, happy memory, not destructive memory. While soul parts leave because of trauma, that doesn't mean we need to re-experience the trauma when they return. Instead, we ask that the soul help us re-experience the joy that they took with them when they left. You see the difference?
Yeah.
So soul retrieval is not about reliving trauma. It's about regaining the strength and the joy and the health that we had before the trauma occurred. It's very important to understand that. And so as you're looking back at this soul part, wondering, who are you and what gift do you bring me? Look for the joyous ones. Ask yourself, is there anything fun that we can do together? Is there something new sparking in my life now? Okay?
Okay. Okay. I'll do that.
Great. And if there's anything about this story that you want to discuss with me privately, just go ahead and email me, Carla@SpiritHealer.com, because we don't want your story to be public. It's your story. It's not everyone else's. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. So thank you so much for doing that for me.
My pleasure, darling. Blessings and honors to you.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, we only have a few minutes left. And so I would like to just wrap up by mentioning again, you can find me at SpiritHealer.com. And on the radio show page, I have the archives of all the shows that I've done. I'm videoing these and I'm putting them on YouTube. So you can get the lesson with me actually teaching it on a YouTube video. And my mission is to create a body of work on YouTube videos that will explain shamanism and help people come into understanding this ancient, magnificent art form. Because each of us is shamanic. Each of us comes from shamanic roots. Every one of us has shamanic ancestry in our blood. And we can all access the spirit healers, the ancestors, and the helper beings. We can all access them to enrich our lives, to empower ourselves, and to help us build beauty back into the world. Shamanism right now, the resurgence of it, is all about restoring balance and beauty in the world. And so there you go, SpiritHealer.com. The radio page has all the archives. And the rest of the site, my blog, please check that out. I've been blogging for years, and I have lots of stories of healing work and lots of wonderful things. And you can learn how to get a session with me if you'd like as well. So thank you so much for joining us today on Spirit Healer Radio. And if you feel that you need soul retrieval, if you feel that there's a piece of you missing, you're certainly welcome to reach out to me. I'll do a session with you. If you'd like to work locally with someone in your community, you can go to shamanism.org to find people who have been trained in the style I've been trained in. You can check your local listings and your local resources to find someone as well. So I work over the telephone with people around the world. Some people will come to my house and work with me. And of course, there's shamanic healers everywhere now. We're resurging, we're coming out of the woodwork, and we welcome you to join us. So thank you very much. It's Carla Meske from SpiritHealer.com. And Michael, if that's okay, I'd like to sign off a minute early today.
Okay, thank you, Carla, for another great, beautiful show here, and we will look forward to your coming back next week for another great show. So we thank everybody for listening to Carla's show, and we'll be back next week with Carla. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.